Is the Ecovacs Deebot X1 OMNI worth being called a flagship robot vacuum? Join me as I put it through several grueling tests to find out. My name is Jamie Andrews and welcome to my YouTube channel. The Ecovacs Deebot X1 OMNI is an all-in-one robot vacuum and mop with LiDAR navigation and advanced object avoidance. It comes with a base station that both washes and dries the mop, refills the onboard water tank, and empties out the internal dustbin. Let's take a closer look by starting with the robot itself. On the front, we have Ecovacs AIVI 3D Object Avoidance System, which features a camera and a 3D structured light sensor, which work together to avoid certain objects in your home. On the front sides, you will have two wall sensors to help it get close to the walls. On the top, we have a multifunction power button with LED indicator light and a clickable LiDAR cover designed to protect it from unwanted damage. Around back, we see a pair of charging contacts and a single hole which is used by the base station to fill the internal 80 milliliter water tank. On the top, the entire lid is removable and is held on with a series of magnets. There's a Wi-Fi indicator light, a power switch, and a QR code so you can download the app and get things started. The internal dustbin is smaller than average at 400 milliliters. It has a 3-stage filter, which includes a mesh pre-filter, a black foam filter, and finally a washable paper filter. Dirt is sucked into the dustbin through this opening, and when docked at the station, it empties through this hole in the back. Underneath, we have 6 cliff sensors, an ultrasonic carpet sensor, single front roller wheel, and 2 side spinning brushes. Opening the roller brush cover reveals the roller brush, which is a combination of rubber and bristles. The ends are removable. Here we see the T1's dual spinning mopping pads, which are easy to remove from the robot. The pads just velcro to the mopping plates. Water from the internal tank is dispersed onto the pads from these 2 holes in the robot, which is a neat design. Let's be honest, the big news here is the base station, which has a lot going on. Starting at the top, we have 3 buttons. The one on the right is used to call the robot out from the base and also send it back home. The center button is to start a quick home cleaning, and the last button is for cleaning the dock. Press it and the dock begins filling up with water. Grab the included cleaning brush stored under the lid and use it to agitate the base of the dock where the dust and dirt collect. After a minute, the water will start to drain out. Back under the lid, we have 2 water tanks at 4 liters each that just lift out. There is a tray in the middle which holds the cleaning brush and an extra set of mopping pads, which is a neat design. The clean water tank has a rubber flap on top for quick refilling, or you can just open the lid. There's also a sensor for the clean water tank, and the robot will warn you prior to a cleaning if it is low on water, which is something I like.
Clean water tank almost empty. Please refill.
The dirty water tank's lid opens the same way for dumping out dirty water. There is a float mechanism in there, so it will warn you if you have a full dirty water tank. Opening up the compartment where the 3-liter dust bag is stored is a little tricky with a hidden button. The 3-liter dust bag lifts out and seals itself off for easy disposal. Slide a new one back in and you are good to go. Ecovacs does give you a spare dust bag, thank goodness. Around back, you will see a nice large cord wrap, which is just perfect, along with a place to plug the dock in with the included power cord. Taking a close look at what I'm going to call the robot's garage, to the right you can see where the base evacuates the dirt from the robot itself, 2 charging contacts in the back, and to the left is a small hole used to fill the onboard water tank of the robot. Just below lies a series of water nozzles that are used to spray water on the mopping pads, and in front of those are the agitators used to scrub the pads as they spin. The water drain is in the very back. There's also a hot air drying system that quickly dries the mopping pads. As you can see here, it actually puts out some decent heat, and I found the pads to be nearly dry after just a few hours. The max power draw of the dock was measured at 7.5 amps and 868 watts of power when emptying out the robot's dustbin, which only produces around 77 decibels of sound. It's not what I consider to be too loud. The robot was also not what I consider to be too loud on its highest power setting. It registered a bit over 60 decibels of sound. One last feature of the T1 OMNI is the built-in voice assistant named Yiko. In my experience, it usually takes a few times for it to respond. Okay, Yiko. Hey, Yiko. Okay, Yiko.
I'm here.
Clean the dining room.
Okay, start area cleaning.
But when it does, it gives you several different voice commands, as you can see here in the app. The system is a great idea, which I found myself using more than I thought I would, but it does need better voice recognition, and when the vacuum is running, it is very hard for it to hear you. Let's move on to performance testing the X1 OMNI by starting with my standard carpet pickup test, where I scattered 54 grams of rice on medium pile carpet, and I sent the robot out to see how much it could pick up. I set it on max plus mode to unleash the entire power of the vacuum motor rated at 5100 pascals of suction. The results were impressive, and it is the best score I have recorded to date. It managed to pick up 53 of the 54 grams of rice, or a bit over 98%, dethroning the previously tested Ecovacs T10 Plus at 51 grams, which now sits at second place for all my tested robots. On tile floor, I scattered 130 grams of cat litter and sent the robot out once again in max plus mode. The one issue I have with the Ecovacs T10 Plus is also present here, which is fast spinning side brushes, which scattered debris all over the room. There's no way to control the speed of these brushes either. If it had not been for those side spinning brushes, I think it would have beat most other robot vacuums. However, it was still able to pick up 117 grams of litter, or 90%, which is a bit above average. Next, we move on to the mopping test, where I had the robot attempt to mop up baked on hot sauce on my tile floor. This is a standard test I run, which proves difficult for many robot vacuums and usually requires 2 passes to be effective. I set the water output level to the highest setting and put the robot in deep mopping mode, which makes tighter passes over the area. I once again had high hopes for the X1 OMNI, which were quickly diminished after it failed to remove hardly any of the hot sauce after the first pass. Things got a bit better after the second pass, where it managed to remove a total of 60% of the stains, but this is still disappointing for a flagship robot vacuum, especially since the much cheaper T10 Plus removed nearly all of the hot sauce after the second pass. This test has proven difficult for robots with spinning mopping pads, which give you the impression they are deep scrubbing your floors. I did test the T1 OMNI in real life many times in my house, and I would say the everyday performance of the mopping system is adequate if you understand it will not be able to tackle deep dried-on stains. While this test did disappoint me, there were several areas that made up for this less than stellar performance. In the app, you can control how often the robot goes back to the dock to clean the mopping pads. You can set the cleaning interval from every 10 minutes to every 25 minutes. And I'm pleased to say the base station did an excellent job cleaning the mopping pads each and every time. Even better is the hot air drying system, which worked well beyond my expectations and can be set to run for either 2, 3, or 4 hours in the app. The robot is equipped with a carpet detection sensor, which worked well to keep the wet mop off of my rug here. I do wish it had a lifting mopping system though, as I had to send the robot out once to vacuum and another time to mop here. The final test is the object avoidance, or as Ecovacs calls it, the AIVI 3D system, which is more advanced than the one found on the T10 Plus. I sent it through a maze of my standard objects to avoid, and the results were favorable, with the exception of the fake animal waste, which it managed to get too close to. Where I was really impressed with this robot was with its ability to avoid stray cords laying around. It managed to avoid them most of the time, which is a big deal for me. We need these robots to avoid stray cords, and the X1 OMNI exceeded my expectations in both synthetic and in real life tests in my home. If only they could tweak it some to stay far, far away from animal waste, I would give it a perfect score here. Moving on to the base station's ability to empty out the internal contents of the robot vacuum. I think it's important to mention that you have a bit of control over when the robot auto-empties, which is fantastic and one of the most requested options I hear from you, my viewers. The auto-empty frequency can be set to auto, which will empty it every time the robot goes back to the dock at the end of a cleaning. This is fairly common in the industry, but the option people with long-haired pets will want to use is the smart option, which relies on the cleaning interval setting that can be set at 10, 15, or 25 minutes. When it comes time to empty out the internal dustbin, the base station was able to quickly empty the dustbin for everything except for heavy dirt and debris, like cat litter. No matter how many times I ran it, there would always be some left in the dustbin, which did bother me some at this price point. Okay, I want to wrap things up and summarize with some pros and cons, starting with the pros. The vacuum is the best I have tested to date with its ability to deep clean carpets. The brush roller also avoided getting hair tangled around it, better than most of the competition. I am a big fan of the design of the roller brush, which makes it really easy to remove hair from the ends. The design and functionality of the base station is top notch and one of my favorite tested to date. It does an outstanding job cleaning and drying the mopping pads, and I like the innovative way that you clean the tray inside with the brush and water. In the app, I appreciate the ability to choose deep mopping mode, which unlike Roborock, allows you to vacuum in this mode as well. A plus is mop only mode, which completely turns off the vacuum motor. Lastly, I was very impressed with the AI-VI 3D object avoidance system, which is one of the best tested to date and includes a video call with two-way audio option. This is most useful for checking on your pets while you're away from home. It's not all good though, so moving on to some cons. Let's start with the app. Oftentimes the app would stop refreshing, causing me to have to close it out and go back in. This was very frustrating. This may have been a fluke, but I also noticed that one of the bristles came off of its side spinning brush after just a little under 9 hours of use. While the navigation was better than the T10 Plus, it is still nowhere near perfect, especially for the cost of the system. Here you can see it having a hard time getting to the dock for some odd reason, and this is the third or fourth time this happened to me. Other times it would just randomly run around the floor going over the same areas over and over, which is not ideal, especially if you're mopping wood floors. As I mentioned, the mopping test performance was a bit of a letdown for deep stains, and I've tested robots a third of the price of this and they did better. Some smaller items are there is no cleaning solution included in the box or available to purchase at this time. I wish you could adjust the sensitivity of the object avoidance system and the side spinning brushes as well. It does go through a good bit of water, and if I immediately start a second cleaning, it will begin cleaning the already clean pads again. Also to note, this thing is fairly large, so be sure you don't mind the overall size of the unit. The story of the Deebot X1 OMNI is one of impressive innovation and is certainly worthy of being called a flagship robot. If you can find it on sale, I would say it's an excellent deal and worth putting up with some of the noted quirks and drawbacks. If you don't care about the self-cleaning mop, look at the X1 Plus or the T10 Plus, which come in at almost half the price and include many of the features and an auto-empty dustbin. Link below in the description to purchase the Deebot X1 OMNI. Let me know what you think of this robot vacuum in the comments below. I want to thank you for watching this video, and please take time to like, share, and please subscribe to support my efforts here. Alright, take it easy everyone. Bye bye.